disk drive repair or replacement. We're going to open up the unit, see what needs to be fixed, and replace the parts. So to begin, there's going to be these little plastic tabs on each side of the console. If you get a little pry tool or a little razor blade, you can just pop these right off. So not all of them have them. Usually it's just the little plastic tabs that have them. And you're going to have one tri-point screwdriver here, and then the other two are going to be Phillips. So just pull those out. Once those are out, unscrew this little CMOS battery. As that comes out, it will expose another battery, another screw head, another tri-point. Once that's out, I'm going to flip it to this side. You can either try to get these with your fingernail or just get a little pry tool and pull those up. It's going to be 1, 2, and then there is 3 and 4 here. And there is some adhesive on there, so it may be a little bit difficult to pull off. These ones are a little bit easier to get out of there. And once again, these are all going to be tri-point screws. It doesn't help to have a magnetized screwdriver as well to get these screws out of there. If not, you can always just flip the console over and kind of shake them out. Once those are out, we're going to flip it to the other side now. We're going to have 3 Phillips screws here, holding in this black case here. It's come out fairly easy. Keep in mind the screw closest to the faceplate is a little bit longer, so don't confuse those and mix them up. Once you have those 3 screws out, it will expose 3 other screws. The top 2 are Phillips. And the bottom 2 are the tri-point again. Now, after pulling all those screws out, let's get that last screw out of there. Console should come apart fairly easy. Maybe one hiding under here. There is another screw hiding in here, keeping that faceplate secured, and that is going to be a tri-point as well. Actually, it's actually Phillips. Once that's off, it'll release that faceplate, and you can just kind of pull that cord out, set that aside, and then from here, the console should just kind of pull apart. These can just come out. that off now, you can pull off this little metal bracket, which exposes the disk drive. So once that's off, we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4 Phillips head screwdrivers, and this is what's holding in the disk drive. Once all those are out, you can kind of just pull back, and there's going to be a few cables under there. This part is just tucked away, so it may feel a little tense. You can just kind of pull up, but not too hard, and just disconnect that disk drive. Now, once that is free, we're going to try to replace the laser on this. So we are actually going to pull off all the cables here. This is in fact a laser lens, or laser cable. So we gotta free this one up completely so we can replace it. Make sure all connectors are taken out, and we can unscrew these 2 Phillips head screwdrivers that are holding in the motherboard, the disk drive motherboard. Once that is free, you can kind of just flip that back. If you want to get a little bit more room, there is little tabs, but you should be able to access everything. Unscrew another Phillips here. And now this little metal bracket is being kind of held into place with little snaps. So you can just kind of get underneath them all and just kind of pop them up. It may help to use a flathead in this situation. To kind of get underneath, because sometimes the pry tool can't really get that leverage to pop them up. There's going to be these little tabs on the side here. And once you get one side, it should just kind of fall off there. And remember to take this little black tape off there so this metal frame can kind of release that laser lens. Once you have those off, should be fairly easier to access the laser. Begin by removing these little star-shaped screws. There's going to be 3. Once those are free, you will have 2 Phillips ones down here as well. And from there you can kind of just get a flathead in this little crevice here. There's 1 and 2 kind of bars holding it into place, and we kind of just have to push them forward to get the laser out of its little bracket here. once you're able to get enough leverage on that, this little post will just slide right out and the laser will just fall right out. And now don't forget to remove this little piece here, because the new laser lens will most likely not have that on there. And from here we are going to begin the reassembly process. Alrighty, so now that we have our new laser here, the good way to indicate what type of laser the Wii has is off of this number here. There's going to be either a 350 number or a 355 number. In this case it's a 350. And also if you look here, there is a little ball of solder, and if you do not remove that ball on the new laser, it will not work. So make sure you just hit that with a little soldering iron and it'll come right off. It's an anti-static prevention. So now we're just going to begin the process of putting this little white bracket back on with our Phillips. Once that's in there, we can kind of feed that side in and kind of push that down on top of that little motor there for the laser to move on. And then we are going to just slide our post back in all the way through, and it should go completely to the wall again of where the motor is to spin the discs on both sides. Once those are in completely, we can reattach our little disk drive motor. So it goes like this. And this is why it helps to have a magnetized screwdriver, so screws aren't falling back into the console. Okay. Once that's in, we can put our metal bracket back on and feed. Actually, we forgot these two screws here. Once that's on there, we can now put the metal bracket back on. Kind of slide this underneath. And just kind of snap everything back into place. And if you didn't bend these metal brackets, or if you did bend them back a little bit, you can just press them back onto their tabs and then reapply this black piece of tape. Not necessary, but it's nice to have on there. And now we can flip this back over. give this a little bit more room to play because the laser is in fact moving around inside the disk drive. So if the cable doesn't have enough room to move, it could work improperly. Now we're going to put the laser lens, this ribbon cable back in, as well as these other cables. And there are these little black tabs on the side that kind of are guide placement marks for this motherboard. And then we have our two Phillips head screws. One there and one right here. Don't forget this cable here like I did. Even then, we can still maybe even feed that in there a little bit more. Alright. Once that's on there, everything looks good. Now we're going to grab our console. And we are going to just hook it back up. We are going to test the unit out. Testing everything out, it works fine. Console's reading discs. So now we're just going to put these 4 screws back into the disk drive. Drop this metal bracket on top. That's in, it should fit pretty snug, and all the screw holes on the side should line up fine. Gonna put the plastic back on there. There's a little fan piece that falls off sometimes when you open up the unit. There's little markers here that it kind of slides into. Just kind of hold it into place and just drop this on top. Once that's in there, we can put our tri-point screws back into their designated spot and just screw everything in. Alright. We got the two Phillips on top. Once those are in, we can put our tri-point there. Alright, flip to the other side. I'm going to put these little brackets back in. Snap the arms down. We have, again, 2 tri-point screws here. Then our 2 Phillips on the top. Black plastic cover one longer screw on the disk side drive, and then the shorter ones that hold the plastic in. It should kind of just snap down. Then we are going to put our front faceplate back in there. This can be a little bit tricky, but there's usually a little line-up hole that you can kind of just line it up, and then it should be able to just press down. Alright, put that wire back, push that in, put the long screw in to hold that bracket in, and then we got our last two screws right here. These are tri-points as well. One more right here, and then we have just our CMOS battery that can just drop right there and screws in. Alrighty, that concludes. Oh, we got one more actually. Alright, now this concludes our Wii U disk drive laser replacement. Thank you for watching.